What if I told you there was a brand new anime coming out very soon, all about the end times? Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to meet the creator of that project, and we're going to examine exactly what it is. What is happening here? Celeste, something's happening on the planet Geekery right this second.
Glix, Priority Alpha Command, open comms, now.
Loading the culture language patches. Loading spiritual applications. Loading grace and hope directives. Comms opening in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, devoted geeks, and welcome to Comm Talk podcast, Ascension Geek Devotions, the show from devoted geeks who are devoted to letting you know you're loved. I'm Dallas. I'm so glad you guys can join us for a special edition of our podcast as we dive deep into a conversation about a really cool upcoming anime brought to you by a brand new studio called Studio Bless. And joining me is the man, the myth, the legend, the guy behind it all, Ron McKinney. What's going on, man?
What's going on? The man, the myth, the legend. Wow, you humble me.
Oh, man, Ron, I'm excited to have you on here for multiple reasons. One, you are, I'm a lover of anime. You're a lover of anime, but also you're doing something really cool is that you're building up from the ground, something I have thought about for years. I remember I was in college. I was talking to a friend of mine and I was really into anime. I said, if I can't find Christian anime, one day I'm going to make it. And I'm so glad that somebody with actual skill is doing it.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's a long, tough process, but it's fulfilling work.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, man, let's jump into it. What is Studio Bless? Yes, I can't say words. What is Studio Bless? And what is Ascension After, this anime that you're creating?
So Studio Bless is pretty much like this entity that exists to express faith through visual storytelling. So whether that's through our anime, like our series Ascension After, or if it's with some of our secret projects that's kind of encompassing a lot of different genres or media within geek culture, we're explicitly geared towards showing Jesus through visual narratives. And so that's kind of pretty much like a little bit about Studio Bless. And then for Ascension After follows the stories between two protagonists, Darius Wayman and John the Disciple. So if you're familiar with John the Disciple, he was one of the 12 disciples that walked with Jesus when he was here on the earth. And he also got this really special revelation, titled Revelation in the Bible. And so Ascension After just follows the book of Revelation from two different perspectives. One, from Darius, who is existing in our shoes, so he's living out the events within Revelation. But John is actually on the island of Patmos, and he's witnessing all of the events happening as God is showing him through it, showing him the visions while he's in heaven. So it's like this time dilation thing where you get to see the perspective of John and the things that are happening in his time, and also see Darius and the stuff that's happening in current times as well. So that's kind of what Studio Bless and Ascension After is about.
That's really cool. I like the aspect you're talking about with it's going where we're with John in real time as he sees prophetically into the future what's taking place with your main character, Darius. That's a really neat view angle of this type of thing. How did you come up with that concept?
Well, so the concept kind of just came to me as I drew the characters. So roughly around the end of 2023 is when I started to do the concept art for Ascension After, really just Studio Bless in general. And it started all with the sketch of John, and then I did the sketch of Darius, and then I sat and I kind of meditated on it a little bit, and I was like, it'd be very interesting if we just had, we've seen like the Left Behind series, we've seen like people in our time like go through the events of the tribulation and stuff like that, but
Right.
We never really get to see John on the island of Patmos, kind of like a Roman captive place area for people, and seeing like the different struggles that he probably would have went through, and also how he might have felt during those things. And so I was like, I was talking to my team members about it. I was like, it'd be pretty interesting if we kind of played with the idea of it kind of jumping back and forth between times and showing the visions and then living out the visions.
Awesome. I love it. Well, man, I want to ask you this real quick. Obviously, you're a fan of anime. And so I got these two questions. What is your top anime that has inspired you personally? And then what is an anime that really helped inspire Ascension After? Because reality is the things that we take in, it tends to creep in and inspire what we do.
Yeah. So the one that inspires, and I can go, I'm literally looking at my bookshelf because I have like a whole bunch of manga and stuff. So I'm trying to figure out that one. And if I can encompass it into one, dude, can I give you two? Two
Come
ones
on. All right, I'll give you two. I'll give you two.
Okay. All right. First and foremost is Naruto.
Yeah.
And he's kind of the inspiration behind Darius, when in terms of like living throughout Revelation with him. Because with Naruto, for me, I got to kind of grow up with Naruto. As Naruto was a kid in the Leaf Village, I was a kid, where I was at. And then as he became a teenager, I was a teenager, and now he's an adult, and I'm an adult. And just seeing the process of life that he goes through, the different types of stories that happen within Naruto, not just with Naruto himself, but the side characters and the different lessons. I felt like Naruto had a lot of principles that were pushed towards making people better, or wanting to be better, or just a good person in general. Or Naruto says, like, that's my shinobi way, right? And then the second one is My Hero Academia. Like, that's my favorite new gen. And I love the idea of being a hero. I've grown up loving superheroes and seeing that brought to like anime, and the way that Kohei Horikoshi, the author and the artist for My Hero Academia, and the way that he expresses heroism in a way that anybody can be a hero with whatever they can do. I was like, that whole statement blows it all away for me. And so that kind of inspired me to want to be a hero to other people through what we're doing at Studio Bless, by saying, hey, if you're able to, be a willing vessel for the Lord, he can do amazing things through you. And everything that's led up to where we're at now is kind of a testimony to that. And so those are my two favorite ones that kind of inspired me. And then
love it.
One of the main ones that inspired, there's two again that inspired Ascension After. And number one is Erased. So I love
how... Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That
Erased,
one.
Yeah, very, very good. Binged it in one night. And so that's also kind of where we got the idea of like, hey, we go back and forth, because in the story of Erased, he goes back and forth from the time where like he's like a little kid to where he's a grown adult, right? And that's kind of like something like, I was like, I really love this concept of like he's trying to solve this mystery, but the mystery is being revealed in our story, right?
Word.
And then second inspiration is Attack on Titan. Like a story that is... I can't even put into words how great of a story Attack on Titan is, and how it captures you in that first episode. So, like, when you watch the first episode of Ascension After, you'll probably see a lot of callbacks or elements that remind you of Attack on Titan, because they have a pattern of keeping the viewer's attention, and it's a successful pattern. You see that over and over with a bunch of other different anime as well. And so, Attack on Titan and Erased are two animes that kind of inspired Ascension After for sure.
That's so cool. And I'm actually, now that you say that, I'm really excited to try to find those connector points. I can honestly tell you Erase was one of those ones that hit me harder than I expected to. And the fact that you watched it in a single night, brother, you must have, that was traumatic for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was interesting to say the least.
I've not had a chance to watch it yet, but there's a live action version and there's a manga. And my understanding is all three have a slightly different ending to it.
Oh, wow.
So it's one of those things that Celeste and I were like, we want to hit that, but we not sure if we're ready for the emotions of it.
Same with Silent Voice. So.
Oh man, that one. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, so much emotion. I think that's one thing people miss about anime. They think it's just cartoons, but they don't realize that there's depth, there's emotion, there's storytelling that takes place within these that hit people differently and in a solid place. And I'm excited to see that you're taking that medium and you're using it. And seeing these influences that you have, it makes me even more excited to see what Ascension After is going to look like going forward.
Yeah.
Man, that's so good. So here's a question for you, because obviously you're putting this out, but you had a formal studio that's taking place with this. And I saw in your interview with Elijah from Anime Relatable, which, by the way, I want to encourage you guys to go check out that interview. There will be a description. There'll be a link in the description down below. And also, not just to his channel, but to that interview specifically. But in it, you said the Todd McFarlane was kind of inspiring for you. And like you, I'm a fan of his art and also his work ethic, the things that he's done. What specifically about his story has inspired you and how you handle Studio Bliss?
Well, there's a bunch of stuff that I share with Todd in terms of like his story and my story. So like when he was coming up in the comic scene, when he was in college, he would spend hours in the night after, school and work to draw. And he had sent over at least 300, proposals to Marvel, DC, all the big time comics back then, and had over 300 rejections until he finally got that one that hit, And when he had that one that hit, he took off and didn't look back. Mm-hmm. And kind of with me, right, that year of 2023, well, 2022, part 2023, was a year where it was just rejections after rejections. I was trying to apply for jobs. I couldn't get one. It felt like I was just like in this season, but I still kept the craft and I prayed to God. And at the beginning of 2023, the Lord kind of gave me this verse to start off the year. It was Galatians 6:9. It says, "Don't grow weary in doing what's good, but in due season you will, don't grow weary in doing what's good, for in due season you will reap a reward if you do not lose heart." And I thought about that every single day. I wrote it down on my mirror so I can look at it every day. And just like with Todd, he never gave up on, drawing and everything. And I dedicated my drawings to the Lord. And then he gave me the visions for Studio Bliss. And then he gave me the job to provide for me while I'm working on Studio Bliss. And then another thing with Todd that kind of resonates with me too is the way that he treats his characters and how he kind of just founded, Image, right? He kind of said like, well, if nobody else is going to do it, then I'll do it, right? Same with like his toy company and all that stuff.
Right.
That's kind of like what I feel like. Like there's nobody like, I want to say nobody. There's not a lot of people who are making, Christian media in excellence in terms of visual media like anime or animation. Like I can name a bunch of people that are making content that are like really, really well or at an excellent level. But I'm trying to do something that's a little bit different, something that's a little bit new, kind of like how Todd did. So that's kind of how we relate.
So good. So good. So here's a question for you. As you build that, again, building with excellence, all these other things, obviously you got to form a team around you. So within Studio Bless, I don't know why I keep saying messing it up, but Studio Bless, how did you form your team? Who's on that team with you?
Okay, so my team right now, my core members consist of 4 people. So it's myself, the creator. I do majority of the artwork that you've seen, pretty much all the artwork that you've seen so far on socials or on YouTube or even the teaser trailer. I did that by hand. Oh, wow. You have Zach Scriber, who's our writer. So Zach, I pretty much come up with a synopsis of like each episode or like the story entirely, and then he puts it into script format. And he's working on a side project too for Studio Bless that's completely his own thing, and I can't wait for that to be revealed during our live stream next year. And so Zach Scriber's our writer, and then we have Bo McGowan. He's our sound technician / composer, and so the music that you heard in the teaser trailer, he did that all by himself.
Oh, wow.
And some of the stuff that, like, if you've seen like our YouTube videos, like the back music, he's done those, and he's produced well over at least 20 to 30 tracks for Ascension After so far. So he's doing a really a good job. And then you have Afari Morton, the last guy. He is he's going to be my art assistant. So kind of how I found these guys, me, Zach, and Bo, we all lived in the same town from around 2018 to 2022, a little bit of 2023 as well. Me and Zach went to college together, and Bo, he was just here in Ruston. And so me and Zach, we went to a Christian fraternity together, and he noticed that I loved anime. And so we worked on 2 projects actually, but they didn't really go anywhere. And so I knew he was a writer. And so when I got the vision from the Lord to like go and do this, I was like, hey, I'm not that good of a, script writer or anything. And so I went to Zach, and he was like, yeah, sure. And then Bo, he was just dabbling on his computer with the saxophone and working on music. I was like, hey, do you want to come make music for us? He's like, sure. And then Ofari, he's the one who kind of put the idea in my head, because at a Bible study, this is how Studio Bless started. It started at a Bible study online. And he said, dude, there should be a Bible anime. And at the time I was telling or kind of teaching Ofari some art tricks. He's kind of like an art student of mine. I'm trying to teach him stuff that I'm doing, so that way he can do stuff for me down the line as we get further into production. And so that's kind of how we all kind of came together, and now we're a really tight-knit band of brothers.
Dig it. I love it so much. Cool, man. Well, let's keep rolling out here. Like you, I got a team myself, and I was talking with one of my team members, and he had an interesting question. As a Christian, and if he wanted to recommend your anime to a non-Christian friend, which is something that he does regularly, he talks to people about stuff, and it's a struggle when you're going to people who aren't Christians, and you're like, hey, you should check out this Christian medium, because there's always a level of cheesiness to things. At least there's a perception of it.
Yeah.
What could we tell our non-Christian friends that would catch their attention to point them back to Studio Bliss?
Well, on our website, when you go to like learning more about Ascension After, it's the about is pretty much spot on to what you could tell them, right? It's in, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's pretty much in layman terms like Ascension After follows the story of Darius as he lives out apocalyptic I can't say apocalyptic scenarios, and
right.
John as he like witnesses these apocalyptic visions from the heavens or something like that. It's kind of hard for me to say it off the top of my head, but like for instance, right, one of my friends, Cameron Hobley, he has his own ministry, Here I Am Ministries, and when he went into like a GameStop just for whatever reason, I can't remember what the reason was, but when he went in there, he noticed that there was a person that he would have never been able to really connect with unless if he had known me and what we were doing, because he noticed the person was wearing an anime shirt. And so Cameron went up to the guy, and keep in mind the guy, he looks like the world, right? The guy, Cameron says, "Hey, you watch anime?" And the guy says, "Yeah, how'd you know?" Like, he's like, "Well, I looked at your shirt." And so he was like, "Oh yeah," they laughed. He said, "Well, my friend's making like an anime." And like, he said like his eyes lit up. He's like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, yo, check this out." And so he just showed him the teaser trailer. And from that teaser trailer, the guy went to our social media page and followed us. And he's been following us.
Oh, that's lit.
So you can just show him the teaser trailer. You can show him the art and just say like, "Hey, like somebody's making an anime. If you want to say Christian anime, that's fine too, And so that's kind of how I would say, like, I just say, "Hey, we're making a Christian anime."
I dig it. Now, within this construction, the anime you're working on, you spent several years getting to the point you're at now, before you even had the teaser trailer and everything out. In your interview with Elijah, you mentioned that during this time frame, the Lord had really challenged you not to work on your own stuff, but to focus on what He has for you, which is, that's a challenge, especially when there's something that's a passion of yours to do something, to put your hand to something, to art, whatever it is. So my question for you here is, what did you do to help you keep yourself accountable to that process that God put you under as you focused on building what He's called you to build?
Yeah, so that period of time was 2024.
Right.
Like I said, at kind of the middle towards the beginning of 2023 is when God gave me the vision for Studio Bless. But it really didn't get serious until 2024, where God like really was like, "Hey," like He put it upon my heart, like, "Hey, I don't want you to do any commission work," right? And not only that, He didn't want me to tell anybody that whole year that I wasn't doing that. Like if somebody were to ask, like, "Hey, can I get a commission? Can you do my album cover?" Stuff like that, I would just say, "Hey, sorry, I'm not available right now." I wouldn't give them that explanation. And so to hold me accountable, it was just always like that thought, like, "Okay, God." I'm sacrificing a lot of stuff right now. My portfolio could be built up right now. I could earn some extra cash for my fiance. Well, I'm married now, so my then fiance, right? I could be getting new connections, all this stuff. But every time, like, I would go to try to draw something for like myself, I just couldn't finish it. I either couldn't finish it, or I just felt like I need to work on the Studio Bless stuff. Like the Studio Bless stuff was just coming to me quick. And my personal stuff, like I was like, I don't even know what to add next in my painting series. Like it's a biblical painting series, but I don't know what to add next. But when it came to Studio Bless, I was like, oh, I know, like this needs to be like that, And so every single day I would just pray like, "God, I'm trusting you in Studio Bless. I don't know what's going to happen after this year, but I know deep down You've called me to be faithful to it. So I'm going to do that." And so that's kind of how I kind of kept myself self-accountable.
Word. I love it. I love that process you went through, even the aspect of like not telling people why. I mean, there's biblical ground for that with our giving and with our fasting and everything like that. We're commanded, don't make an ordeal about that because that's what the Pharisees do. And so the fact that you walked into this with a humble mindset, a humble state as you worked on it, dude, that's super encouraging to me. Sometimes as creatives, we tend to get like, this is what I'm doing. And to walk in humility, though, understanding this is being submitted to God, dude, that's big. I feel like that's laying out some really great groundwork for you going forward. Hey guys, coming in here on the post edit to do a quick promo for our friends over at the Rushmore Show, who are also part of the Culture Box Network, a network of podcasts who are all about unpacking truth through comedy, story, and geekery. And if you'd like to know more about Culture Box, go to culturebox.media. That being said, check out our friends at the Rushmore Show, but stick around on the back end because we're going to get to some really great conversations with Ron about a near-death experience and also having spiritual discernment when it comes to our art. The Rushmore Show is the place for ranking the ultimate top 4 in sports, video games, nostalgia, movies, and so much more. Each week, Andy and Kirk spark engaging discussion and friendly debates, making the Rushmore Show your compass in the realm of pop culture rankings. Find us at youtube.com/The Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4 and nothing more. In your interview with Rapzilla, you mentioned that after your near-death experience in a dream from God, your art shifted dramatically overnight. Of course, that something like that, that's humongous. That's a big thing. But how do you stay grounded and make sure you continue to create from that point of view of this is God's work, this thing that God had me keep silent about and only work on for a year? How do you continue to keep that the focal point and not just creating content just for the heck of creating content?
Well, if you ask me or anybody from my team, we're all about the one, just like how Jesus was. Even if one person is impacted by what we're doing at Studio Bless, then our job is done, right?
Word.
And so for me personally, I've made a post a few weeks ago talking about like what it looks like creating a Christian anime versus what it's actually like. And what it looks like, you see myself, drawing at my drawing tablet, or coming up with sketches or ideas. But what it's actually like is I'm in my head a lot. I have to pray a lot. I am battling a lot of first pride, right? Like I want things this way, or why am I not getting this right here, right? Battling envy. Like I'll see even some of my friends, like they're doing well. I'm like, God, like, why am I still like at this level? Why am I not at that level? Right. And so I'm having to battle pride, envy, and then my personal issues and stuff like that, like mentally, like the past and stuff like that. And so if without that sacred art of prayer and being in the hands of the Lord, there's no way I could be grounded. I would get puffed up, as the word would says, and then I would fall. So that's why I humble myself before the Lord continually, daily. I pray while I draw. I pray while I'm doing a lot of stuff, and then I stay in my word and I worship, and I try to live the life that Jesus lived while he was here. Same with Paul. Like they were, in my words, they were men of renown.
Yeah.
But the lives they lived was like the most humble lives of humility. And when you're that low, that's when the Lord elevates you up. And so it's not like I'm trying to stay low to get something. I'm trying to stay low because I know that where I'm low, that's like kind of where the Lord's with me at the most. If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Man, I love it. And it's that the whole aspect of being in prayer and everything like that, man, that's foundational for just life in general. I think a lot of people, they lose track. My pastor, he talks about often when you see people who just kind of lose track of things, it's because they've lost their identity. They lost track of the important things. And when our identity is found in Christ, which is strengthened through prayer and in the scriptures, we flourish. But if we lose track of that, we get out of that discipline, as you put it, man, that's where we lose the plot.
That is so true.
Oh man. So let me ask you this. Obviously, you got a team working together. You guys are building stuff. You're throwing stuff together. And there's a lot of excitement in the room as you guys build this. But how do you discern the difference between what's a creative idea that's cool, it's neat, and what is truly God inspired?
Well, one, we line it up with the scripture, right? If it doesn't line up with that, then we throw that out the window.
Right.
Sure, there's gonna be like references to certain things like we pay homage to, but we don't want to be taken as a joke or a gimmick. So that goes back into like what we talked about earlier, like having things done with excellence, right?
Right.
If there's a specific need for it in the story, it'll be there. If it's not, then most 9.5 times out of 10, it's not going to be in the story, right?
Right.
So I know with different anime, like there's different tropes of like, you know, the goofiness, right? Like of characters like with the knots on their head or like, you know, like stuff like that, right? Like we'll have aspects of that, but this is a serious story because it's stuff that's going to happen, you know? For people who, you know, don't believe, right? If they see this, you know, hopefully it wakes them up, you know? So it's just that's kind of like the approach that we're taking. Like if the story needs it, it needs it. If it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Right. Definitely. You've gotten a lot of praise about this obviously over the last good bit. Your conversation with Elijah, you guys got a lot of comments talking about just how great the art is, the music, your trailers. There's a lot of hype about this, and there's a quality. Excuse me. There's a quality that you have brought to this, and you mentioned several times. There's a level of excellence, and that again, I'm super excited about. We talk about it often. The Lord doesn't call us to perfection, but to excellence, and you know, which means that as long as you're giving your very best with what you have, the Lord's pleased with it. Unfortunately, there is a stigma within Christian media where we really step back and go, is that excellence? And we tend to sacrifice the artistry for the message. And again, the message is important. We have to put that out. But when we're putting it out in a way that it's not good, it loses loses, as I said before, it loses the plot. So how do you balance having the Christian worldview in your anime without it coming across as just an animated sermon where you're just hamstringing the salvation moment stuff into the story?
Well, like, so for instance, towards the end of the first season, you'll see more of the saving grace element, right? Or, but it's not done in a way that's cheesy. It's done in a way that's, you have to earn it. You have to achieve it. Not like saying you have to achieve or earn salvation, but you see the characters actually throughout the course of the first 6 episodes get to that point. So it's not like we're about to lose the football game, you know? God, you know, it's not like a one-day miracle type thing where it's like, God, we have hope. It's like these are real people. Like, well, they're illustrated, right? But they're an imitation of what real people are. And so people can connect to people that they see themselves as through media, right? Not everybody's going to see themselves as Lucy getting the perfect prom date, right? Or Chad getting the perfect touchdown, right? You'll 9 times out of 10, you'll see the person who's struggling with depression or with loss or with things going on at home, right? Because in those deep, tragic stories, you get to see pieces of yourself like, hey, I kind of went through that. Is there hope for me, right? And so with Darius and the rest of the characters, right, they don't all have like these happy-go-lucky, you know, lives, right? And so you'll see that within the first episode immediately. And that's kind of like how we're doing it. It's like we're doing like a real grounded, like I said, it's a grounded story with anime elements. And so that's kind of how I would describe it.
I love it. And the fact that you're making it grounded, I think that's, man, I think that's key for a lot of stuff in Christian media is sometimes we make it not grounded for the sake of, we want to push to get to the moment here of the salvation moment. And I was talking with somebody about this a while back. I think part of the awkwardness of salvation moments in Christian media is it is such a raw and real thing, getting saved, turning our lives to the Lord, that to try to emulate it, even if we're trying to do it sincerely, it's awkward. everyone has a different thing. My salvation experience was it was raw. I was ugly crying, and there was snot and tears, and I was a broken 15-year-old going through some stuff. Your salvation experience is different. Everyone's is different, but they're all real. They're all very grounded situations. And so the fact that you're trying to take that grounded approach to create this, that encourages me a lot. You're not just trying to push it out, but you're trying to take people on the journey to discover what's taking place.
Yeah, precisely. And like I said, it's a grounded story, and because it's Revelation, there's a lot of fantastical elements too. So
Sure.
within Ascension After, you'll see the angelic realm, right? You'll see Michael, you'll see Gabriel, you'll also see depictions of Lucifer. And then I'll tease this here, right? In episode 7, you'll see the actual battle before the fall of Satan.
Wow.
Yeah, and our Michael is pretty cool. That's all I gotta say. I can't say too much more because we're a bit ways out from that point.
Right.
But it's yeah, dude, it's gonna look cool.
I can't wait to see it. Well, man, kind of flip, because we got it pretty serious here. I want to kind of flip it a little bit here. Again, as you've been faithful to do what you guys called you, He's opened some cool doors. You've had opportunity to meet some really cool people from My Hero Academia all the way to The Lion King. Who was surprised you the most that you've been able to connect with in this process?
I gotta give it to my now mentor and really good friend, and now I can call him a brother, Eric Rowland.
Yeah.
He used to work at Funimation. He's done voice work for My Hero Academia, for One Piece. He's done directing or voice direction for One Piece, Fairy Tail, My Hero, all this stuff at Funimation.
Wow.
Yeah, and so like I said, my favorite current gen is My Hero. So, we did a podcast also for his stuff, and that kind of goes into more details like how he found us. But what happened for me, I was sitting on my couch. I was in the living room with my wife. And this is so cool. I got an email from him. He's like, hey, I saw that you were making this Christian anime, and I'd love to help out in any kind of way. Here's my resume. I was like, resume? I was like, okay. And he showed me he's on IMDb. I was like, huh? And then when I clicked on his fandom wiki, and it listed all that stuff, I was like, what is going on? I was like, dude, what is going on? And so we scheduled a meeting. We talked about end times, because he's a big end times studier as well. And
wow.
We talked about that, and we shot a podcast. And now it's formed into we send verses to each other. We call
that's cool.
weekly to pray for each other. And like I said, he's like a mentor to me. And so I actually personally asked him to be my mentor, not so just good. With anime and stuff like that, but a faith in a faith manner. Kind of a Paul and Timothy type beat. So for sure, Eric Rowland.
I love that, man. I love that so much. I love the fact that you sought out a mentor. I think that's something that people miss. They think that mentorship just happens, like somebody just, hey, we're going to do this. But really, there's an aspect of if you want somebody to disciple you, to mentor you, and you can have multiple mentors. Just put that out there for folks listening. You don't have to have just one person, but multiple mentors. Go ask. Develop a relationship with people, and that's a real blessing. I have a question I didn't send this to you earlier, but it's just kind of a funny one. One of the anime legends that I've always admired and looked up to was Osamu Tezuka, who is the godfather of anime. He did Astro Boy, several other things. Yeah. He did this really cool series called The Phoenix Saga, and people who have listened to the show, you've heard me talk about before. Book 1 takes place at the beginning of time. Book 2 takes place at the end of time. Book 3 takes place just after book 1. Book 4 takes place just before book 2, and it goes back and forth. And the point was to end up in the middle in current time frame. And sadly, he never finished the project. But he had this little thing that he did where he had he had this little character that was always in all of his stuff, and it was a little nod to something with some family members of his. Is there something that we can have fun looking for within your panels or within your show that's this is a little nod to my family or to something else like that?
Let me think for a second. There's not necessarily a nod. You'll see different references. I don't want to say it because I want to be an Easter egg type thing.
Yeah.
But you might see some familiar faces or familiar, color palettes.
Right.
Maybe some familiar graffiti on the walls. You never know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You
I
have
love
no
it.
idea. That's funny
I love
because in college, my freshman year, I made it a point to draw a little piece of like Venom from Spider-Man in everything that I did. And so people would, every time we'd have critique, you would see people try to find the Venom. So it'd be pretty fun.
That's so funny. That's so cool, man. Well, let me ask you this. Looking forward, what is your hope for Ascension After? Like, what do you hope to see happen within the next generation of anime fans, both believers and non-believers, as they take part in what Ascension After is?
So, dang, there's a lot, right, with Ascension After. My hopes is, so our plan is to release the first episode on Easter of 2026, and then do the Kickstarter to fund the rest of the first season. We've already decided that we're going to go ahead and make the first season, like, however long it takes us to do that. Like, we just put it on our heart to do that, at least. And our voice actors and stuff are on board with that as well. And so, the whole plan for Ascension After is for us to be able to do this full time, so that way we can devote all our time, kind of like a ministry type of sense, to making like faith-based artwork or not narration, but visual storytelling, so that way people can grow deeper in their faith, can know what's about to happen, right, with Ascension After specifically, to draw people to Jesus. If God could use a donkey, he could use Ascension After. So, yeah, that's kind of like the hope, is that that's what it is. The hope is that the hope is that Ascension After brings eyes to us, that way we can point them to Jesus.
Word. I love it. It's that whole thing of, follow me as I follow Christ thing. And I love it. And also, I can just add more scripture to the conversation. Jesus tells us to be a light, and, not to hide it, but to give light to what needs to be light. And when people see us, is to point people back to Jesus. And I love the fact that is a motivation you guys have. One big last question for you guys, and this is for those people who are out there who are young and they're creative, or maybe they're not young, but they are creative, and they have this desire to take their faith and use it, their art, use their craft, be it animation, be it music, whatever it is, and point people back to Jesus. What's one piece of advice that you wish you had been given at the start of this, that you would now give yourself or to the next generation?
This is what I would say. Don't rush to make something just because you want to make a Christian piece of media.
Word.
There's a lot of fluff Christian media now. Like I said, our conversation revolves around excellence, right? And in my mind, that's just been drilled into me by my professors, by my mentors, by my family, right? Is that, if you want something to be done with that deserves like that, or not deserves, but that commends respect, or that does good, or, that has an impact, like a meaningful one, you don't want to just be willy-nilly about it, right? Take time, practice your artwork, right? Like, get your anatomy right, your color theory right, your style right, and then you can kind of break the rules in terms of like how you want things to be done within whatever it is that you want to do. And so, like, I know within our community, for Studio Bless, especially on our Discord server, we have a bunch of people who are, making Christian media or making artwork with Christian influences. And so it's pretty interesting now. We're kind of trying to form this community of people that are like that, wanting to use their artwork or their talents for the Lord, and trying to stir them in that right way of like, hey, like, maybe you should look out for this, like, or giving them just encouragement, like, hey, this is looking good, I would work on that, And so we're trying to do that right now, is try to build like that community of artists that are Christian that want to express their artwork, or not express their artwork, but express their faith through artwork.
Word. I love it. I love it. Well, man, how can people connect with you and with Studio Bless?
You can find us pretty much if you Google us, Studio Bless. If you want to look us up on Instagram or YouTube, it's The Studio Bless or at The Studio Bless. But TikTok is a little bit different because somebody took our name. So it's at @the_Studio Bless. And so, yeah, that's pretty much how you can find us.
Awesome. And for everyone who's listening or watching, we will have the links to all these things in the show notes down below to make this as easy as possible for you guys to connect with. Roland, again, thank you so much. Not Roland, Ron. Ooh. I've been thinking about, just to completely aside, I got a friend of mine who's going to be at GeekCon, which you're going to be at GeekCon here coming up soon, here in Shreveport, Louisiana. If you're in the Shreveport area, come by and check out Studio Bless here in Shreveport at GeekCon this year. But Roland Paris, he's a fantastic artist, and he's a friend of ours. And you remind me of him because he has this level of excellence for himself that is just amazing. And so I'm thinking of you and him at the same time. But man, I'm excited to have you, Lord. I'm excited to have you within the community that is geek culture, but also in the kingdom of God. We need people like you and your friends who have said, I have a passion, I have something inside of me, and the Lord wants to use it. I'm going to do it well. And man, my genuine prayer is that your story of the studio and your friends inspires more people, specifically the next generation and those to come, as they wait for the return of our Lord. So, man, thanks so much. Devoted Geeks, I want to encourage you guys to check out all of his stuff, check out our stuff. Go to geekdevotions.com for all your information about who we are. And until next time, stay devoted. Peace and love.
Thank you.